Hello, welcome to Sass and Salt. I'm so glad that you're here today. It's exciting to be recording again. Taking a couple of breaks due to the current trying times that we have in our world. Today we are going to be making some southern smothered pork chops with gravy over rice. Yes, please. So let's get started on it. All I'm doing here is I have some salt and pepper, onion powder, and then oregano. And I've taken a paper towel, and the bottom is dry, but we want to get the top really dry on these. And also, I just wanted to note that I am choosing not to go into grocery stores, so I have been doing the grocery pickups. And I ordered bone-in pork chops, but they had to do a substitution, and I got these center cut loin chops. So moral of the story is you have options, so don't freak out if you can't find the bone-in pork chops. We're gonna use these center cut loins today. So I'm gonna get started on seasoning my pork chop. Here, we're just gonna do a little salt and pepper, a little onion powder, and then I'm gonna use some dried oregano. There we go. Saves a little pat on the butt. These center cut loins come with a little bit of fat on the edges of them. That's just the way the loin is. It's the way it's cut. It's totally fine. It's going to melt into our dish. You're not gonna have this big fat cap on the side, so don't worry about that. If it's really an issue for you, you for sure can cut it off. All right, y'all. Being the Southern belle that I am choosing to use bacon fat instead of oil. So I'm gonna put probably a tablespoon of bacon fat in here. We're gonna swirl this around. So I'm gonna go ahead and transfer my chops in my pan here, and I am going to put them seasoned side down. You hear that sound? That's what we want to hear. Okay, so we are going to season the other side while these sear. The main goal here is, here, I'll talk and season at the same time. I'm a good multitasker, I swear. The whole point of this is to not fully cook it. We're just looking for that brown because brown equals extra flavor, right? So we're just wanting to brown it on both sides, and then we're going to take it off and then start our onions. But right now I wanted to season the other side of this. Perfect. Okay, and we're just gonna keep an eye on that. Probably 3 to 4 minutes each side. And then I'll flip it, and then when that is brown, I'll take it off. But now, let's move back over to the counter so we can cut our onions. So for our onion, we're keeping it super simple. All we're doing is slices. So a good thing to remember is the hairy end. We are going to leave intact. So I'm going to cut these other side off, and then we are going to remove this outer layer here. Okay, so we have our hairy end still attached, and all we're going to do is cut this in half so it's a little bit more manageable. And what the hairy end does is it keeps it all together for you, right? And all we're going to do is lay it face down and then make slices. Watch your fingers. You don't have to be Iron Chef and speed on this. We're just looking for consistent cuts. You want to go as close to the little hairy end as you can. Watch your fingers. And then all we're going to do is cut that hairy end off. And then we have our perfect slices of onions here. See how easy that is? Anyone can cut onions. And there you go, our onions are prepped, just like that. Let's head back over to the stove so we can flip our chops. We're back over here, and yes, this is what we're looking for. You see these brown bits on this pan? That's exactly what we're looking for. Come on, man. Look how beautiful these are. Browned on both sides. So I am going to take them off and put them on our plate. We are going to scrape up all these yummy bits, but before we do, I am going to get my onions in the pan. Get these working. And look, we got a jumper. I'm gonna keep my pan on a medium-high heat at this point, and that's just to get these onions going. So all I'm gonna do is add a little salt here. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna pull out that moisture in the onions. And then it's going to get with our little bits. And it's almost like magic. I will show you when this sits for a second what this looks like. And I'm just gonna give these onions a little stir here. And as you can see, they pick up all of those little brown bits. But more importantly, if you can see here, as I'm smushing the onions about, they're releasing their onion juices, and it's picking up all these little brown bits on the bottom of the pan. And a fun fact, in the culinary world, they call that fond, F-O-N-D, and that is what these brown bits at the bottom of your pan are. And if you've ever heard the phrase deglazing, that means when you have these brown bits and you put some sort of liquid in here, that is deglazing the pan to get all of those flavors and all of that working. So we're gonna give these onions a little bit in this pan. Just to give these onions a little boost, I am going to add a little bit of our chicken stock here. And this is kind of what I was talking about, deglazing. Just gonna put a little bit. See what it does to that pan. Okay. And a good tip to cooking your onions faster, I cut these kind of chunky just because I like them that way in this dish, is to put a little liquid in the pot, like we did with our chicken stock here, and then put a top on it, and essentially we are going to steam them while they cook here. So I'll probably let this go for about 5 minutes. Okay, so I wanted to rinse my rice. You don't have to do this step, I just choose to get a little bit of that extra starch off. And when you do rinse it, I tend to find that it comes out a little bit more fluffier when we're steaming it. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna use a cup of rice. I just have it in one of these little strainers here. Just a fine strainer. And then we're just gonna rinse it. And we're just gonna rinse it until I can see that the water is running clear. And you can go ahead and get your hands in it and just kind of smoosh it around, just releasing some of that extra starch that comes on that. All right, and that is ready to go. I'm just gonna check on these onions. Check on my onions, give them a stir, make sure they're cooking down. Make sure they're not stuck to the pan. Awesome, these look really good. I have my 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour here. And what we're doing is we're making a roux. We're gonna make a gravy, put in the pan. This is an easy dish because also it's a one-pan plan. So I'm just gonna sprinkle this in the pan here, evenly as possible. And we're just gonna give this a little toss. You always wanna cook the rawness out of your flour.
And I noticed that I didn't add any pepper in this. I'm gonna go ahead and add some cracked black pepper. I am a fan of the cracked black pepper. If you are not, it's optional. Now we are going to add the rest of our chicken stock here. The recipe calls for a 14-ounce can of the chicken stock. All I had was the box. This is a 32-ounce box. It's always good to have a little extra, especially when you're making a roux. Sometimes you need to add a little bit more moisture to it, so always keep a little bit more on stock, on hand. And this is pretty thick, so I'm gonna add some more chicken stock. This is where we add our beautifully browned pork chops back in here with our gravy and our onions. Also, don't forget these beautiful juices that came from letting your pork chops rest. Add those. Do not throw that away. That is all flavor, and we want to keep all that flavor in our dish. This is the perfect time to start our rice. It takes about 15 minutes. When I do my rice, I essentially steam it. So I do a 2-to-1, so 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. I also add salt. You can add butter if you want. I don't find it necessary for this particular dish, but we're gonna go ahead and get that to a boil. I'm going to add my salt here. And we don't want it as salty as pasta water, but you want to flavor your rice for sure. Add our washed rice. All right, so we are just gonna let this boil. I'm gonna put my lid on it and then turn it down to a simmer, medium low, and set my timer because I always forget, for 15 minutes.
Okay, we are all finished cooking. Our pork chops look amazing and it smells so good in here. You have no idea. So, just a quick little thing. I like to use this little half-cup measuring cup to measure out my rice. So I've fluffed my rice here. So fluffy it is. And I'm gonna put my rice into my cup and kind of pack it down a little bit. I like to do this with my gumbo and my red beans and rice too. I just think presentation-wise, it looks pretty when you do it like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and we packed it down just slightly and put it on my plate. Look how cute that is. Okay, let's taste this. I'm gonna cut into this pork chop. Pretty tender. It's so good. Again, like I said earlier, this is one of my favorite dishes. I could eat this once a week. The rice absorbs all that brown, rich gravy, and it's just amazing. So definitely give this a try.
Earthquake.
Okay, I'm gonna. Oh.
What's next?
I'm just gonna pick them. If you get out of my shot. Just me again. What the fuck?
Good boy.
Quit pausing! God damn it.
funny. Okay, we're just gonna check on these onions.
Go again.
Ow!
Go again.
Oh, bitch.